2004, we came into the neighborhood in 2006, and it was a place of disarray. It was abandoned warehouses and places where gangs would meet. It was drugs and crime-ridden, and in the 90s, it was the highest crime rate in all of Miami. It was right here in Wynwood. And we saw that as an opportunity where most people would feel fearful. And our leader, who has since passed, Tony Goldman, he used to say grit next to beauty makes beauty all the more beautiful. And we found fear as a challenge. So we came into the neighborhood in 2006 with a hope to make this the epicenter for the creative class by creating restaurants and retail opportunities and places for small businesses to thrive. And by creating this place where everyone could come together as one in Miami, really changing the culture and the perception of how people think about Miami as a place to be creative, to have a creative lifestyle, and to also thrive.
There's a lot more graffiti in Miami back then. The city cleaned it up probably like mid-90s. They cleaned up the graffiti for the most part. And now with the Wynwood Arts District, it's kind of concentrated to the city only. It doesn't really get much paint in the suburbs. You don't see much painting going on in the suburbs now. I think it's great. I love it. Yeah, a lot of people come from all over the world and enjoy the arts in Miami from a worldwide perspective. There's people from every corner of the world painting here. Before they built the Wynwood Arts District, an artist couldn't really survive alone off of their arts. They had to do something else or move to another major city with an art scene. But now that they developed this area, a lot of people are able to make a living off of their art and just survive off of their talents. So the good side to it is that you're able to meet people from all over the world, and you paint here, and then photographers and videographers and tourists come from everywhere to photograph your stuff and to document it, and that's a good thing. Then the bad thing would be that everyone wants to do it now. Before, there was only a certain niche, a certain group of people painting. Now everyone wants to pick up a spray can and a stencil and a sticker and do it. It's cool.
The monetary side of real estate development, they used art as the median for change. And that's because we see things differently. And to be a visionary, not only do you have to have a vision, but to have an execution plan creates a vision instead of a daydream. And we started buying properties in 2006. And we saw what was at the core of the neighborhood. What spoke to us most was its graffiti. And in the neighborhood, that's what you'd see everywhere, was these large warehouse buildings with graffiti. And that was what was at the core of the neighborhood, and we didn't want to take that away, but we wanted to reinterpret it. So when we started buying real estate, we saw that we had this warehouse, kind of warehouse-sized platform of space. And that was basically a parking lot of the backs of all of our buildings. And Tony, being the visionary that he is, saw that as a canvas, really. And having the Bowery and Houston street wall in New York, painted originally by Keith Haring, he started making a lot of connections with artists and buying a lot of art, supporting artist studios. And with having all these amazing canvases here, he did things a little differently. He prepped the walls, he brought the artists here, maybe bought pieces for his collection, and then invited them to paint these walls, which is a little bit of paint and a little bit of support. You can have something that like this around you. And it's really a testament to his vision that art, it can be an ignition for change.
I think it's a really beautiful area. It still has so much potential, but I think it's grown so fast in such a short time that we're having a little bit of the issue, some of the issues that New York had in Soho and Chelsea. Artists just can't afford to stay here. So we're sort of pushing them out, and I'm feeling very recently now, more and more people are actually realizing this is a problem. So I think it's going to take an effort on the part of everybody, not just the artists, to help out to maintain Wynwood as it was, or at least to keep the artists in Wynwood to some extent, because otherwise it's just going to be another shopping district. So hoping that doesn't happen. I can feel that the city's making an effort to expand their art programs. I do find more opportunities, more grants being given, more investment into public art. So that's a nice sort of, you can feel that change happening. But I think the artists down here, they need to step up. I think everybody needs to step up and get out of just the marketing sort of mentality. It feels a lot of times like artists, because they're struggling to just kind of stay, just stay afloat here, just stay in a artistic setting, that they're making more commercial work all the time, and it starts to feel really like everything's is just the same, or everything is like catered to the people, to what's going to be bought, rather than more of like a personal statement from the artist. And so I would say that I think the city needs to step up more, and the people need to step up more to work with artists, to keep them here, to inspire them, to tell them, hey, look, it's, we want you to create. But then artists need to come back and also say, okay, like this is what I'm here for, rather than just creating product, basically, which I think is it's a dangerous situation to be in, to treat art as real estate all the time.
It's completely redirected tourism, and also brought a different class of people to Miami. It's kind of democratized the world that we live in here. Before it was the beaches and the parties and the clubs, maybe a few museums, but very little museums or galleries. And because of Wynwood, there's a whole new demographic that's coming here, that's coming to Miami, that's coming to Wynwood. And we have, people like co-working spaces that are moving into Wynwood, and we have small artisan bakeries and juice shops and artists from all around the world who want to paint here. And now if you came to Wynwood in 2005, you would see a tumbleweed in the street, or if you're brave enough, you would drive through the neighborhood with your doors locked. Now, on an average week, we get about 20,000 people through the walls, and on a weekend, we can easily get between 20 and 50,000. And during Art Basel, which is at the end of the year, first week of December, our most important week of the year, we get 100,000 people through these walls in 10 years. That created something 50x property value by just adding a little paint and creativity to something. You can really make a big impact.